Hello, chats. What the fuck is going on with my goddamn hair? I look like a sort of like cult leader friar. Hello everyone. It is Saturday. Trade deadline is totally going. Lots of phone calls, lots of texts, and lots of sitting in our room, trying to take all the information in, make the best decision, send the best information out. Exciting times. I actually don't have a ton of time because I was talking to one of our trainees and I got here like at 11, literally just to do this, my podcast. But I've been talking to them for the last hour and a half, and now I only have 30 minutes before I have to lock myself in the war room for the next 8 hours. So, a little shorter, but that's okay. A few questions today, so I'll just start. First, someone asked in chat, by the way, if you're interested in questions, put them in the comments below, put them in the Discord, or ask me in chat when I'm live. Someone asked about Nick Kurtz. He said, did you see what Nick Kurtz did? But someone else asked, what was a time like Nick Kurtz? The Nick Kurtz hit 4 home runs, 6 hits. He's a rookie this year. Wake Forest, first baseman, DH last night for the Athletics out in West Sac. He preseason in his draft was considered the number 1 prospect in that draft. He plays through his season, had a little slump in the beginning, was enough to drop him from the overall 1 down a handful of spots. Oakland drafts him, and many believe, given all the other bats in that draft, you have not just Kurtz, but he had like, I think that was it the Nick Kurtz draft. Was that also like Langford, Dylan Cruz? Was that draft? I get my drafts mixed up. Anyway, oh, actually, that was J.J. Weatherholt. Was that in that same draft? I think it was J.J. Weatherholt in that draft. So, had all these amazing bats. Is that Charlie Condon? Was that Charlie Condon draft? Or am I getting my drafts? Anyway. There was a ton of bats. And we are seeing everything, personally, I thought he could do, which is power bat at first, advanced bat at first. So, great game for potentially a young superstar in Nick Kurtz. Last time I had that experience, Scooter Gennett, 4 home runs, 2017. Scooter Gennett, second baseman that year. Our team was not very good in 2017, but I believe that was off St. Louis. And if I'm not mistaken, we got to him pretty early. It was Adam Wainwright's start. And I want to say we ended the game like 11 or 12 to 0. But we were up a lot. Now I'm going to say this story and people are going to punch me in the face. So trigger warning. But this is Scooter Jeanette, who we had claimed just trying to field a team, you know, and Scooter Jeanette seemed like a guy who could play second, definitely some pop. See what happens, right? That year, 2017, that game, he hits 3 home runs. And I believe up until that point, he had like 4 home runs the entire season. So, so he hit 3 home runs. So in my mind, I'm like, have a game, Scooter Jeanette. At that point, I think we're up like 9-0, 10-0. So, me, not thinking anything of it, I was like, hey, we're up. Scooter Jeanette, game of his life. I'm going to beat the traffic. I'm going to go home. Get in my car. Oh, look, the riverboat is riverboating. Nice. So I get into my car, go home, driving home. I don't live too far from the park. What is this? Beach? Is it like, oh, today's Margaritaville Day. It's a Margaritaville day at the park. That's what it is. Don't live too far away from the park. Going home, and in my rearview mirror, I see fireworks going off, which I just assume like, oh, we hit another home. It's not like Scooter Jeanette was the only guy hitting home runs that night. So I'm like, oh, we hit another home run. I get home to like a million texts. They're like, what's it like? What's it sound like right now? I'm like, what? And I look and I'm like, oh my God, I left and this guy did something as rare as a perfect game. And I left. So, young Wan took note that if you're going to stay for a baseball game and something cool is happening, stick around. It's, cool things happen every day, but legendary things, I will have a probability to see many more of those. And there are a large amount of people who wish they were there for many of these things. So I shouldn't take that for granted. Anyway, Scooter Jeanette. Later that season, I'll share this story. Mainly because it's public. I believe the reporters talked about this one. So typically it would, not something I would typically do, but I'll share, but I will, Jesus Christ, fucking bird. I'll share this one story. Later that season, we call up Aristides Aquino, the Punisher, which, if you haven't watched some of the different YouTube documentaries on Aristides Aquino, they're actually extremely fascinating. So, strong recommend for the baseball fanatics out there. Aristides Aquino has had one of the most impressive and probable months of all time. And in one of the games, which I was here, he, who was standing there, hits it into, where? It's all reversed. Oh, here. Hits it here. In this area, in this vicinity, right there. which is left field. 3 times. 3 home runs one night. The Punisher. Runs around third base, flexes. We win the game, and comes back into the clubhouse. Everyone's there giving him high fives. Game of his life. First thing Scooter Gennett says to him, yeah, anyone can hit 3 home runs. So when I think of 4 home runs, the line that comes to mind is, yeah, well, anyone can hit 3 home runs. Incredible feat. People who have Major League Baseball careers will never hit 1 home run. Some people hit multiple in a game, and some people hit more than what people who have hit multiple home runs, more than their multiples. If you want to think about it probabilistically, if the home run rate average is 4%, that would be 4% raised to the 4th. So that's a very tiny number. That is, you're talking about, winning a lotto at that point. So, okay. Next question. Someone asked about, would I ever go back to music industry? Ever go back to reviewing music? If baseball never works out, if they let me go, would I ever go back and do the music thing? And I've thought about it many times in my life, but I think the easiest answer is no. Man, now that I know, Margaritaville is kind of like, ha ha ha, that's funny, but man, I would love a beach right now. It's the San Diego humidity and temperature without a San Diego beach. No playa. So, anyway. What's going on over at US Bank? There's a bunch of people at US Bank right now. Huh. Odd. So, must be a concert or something. So, someone asked about music industry. For those who don't know, for 4 years of my life, I was a music journalist. I had my own website with 6 writers and 6 photographers. And we'd go around reviewing live shows and reviewing music albums from indie artists. And when I talk about indie artists, independent artists, I'm talking really tiny. Our whole model was we were reviewing the opening acts of the industry. We were reviewing literally the threshold was if you have little to no press. You're a new artist, little to no press, we wanted to review you. Mainly because it was a collective of writers who were the most hipster people who wanted to be the quintessential, unironic, I heard about them before the world did. Oh, you heard of that band? Well, I remember when their EP came out and they opened in a tool shed in the back of someone's garage, like that was the kind of vibe my writers had. Both leaning ironic and 100% serious. So I had this blog. We all wrote for it. Photographers would go out. We actually did a lot of shows, tons and tons of reviews, tons and tons of shows. And for a handful of folks, probably some people who watch Yap WAN, but for a handful of y'all, you probably have heard or read my reviews before, or seen me do an album review. My ability to review albums, review music is definitely well learned. Lots of people help me get to my style and how I go about it. But yeah, I do have oh man, look, this is like a mister. See, I don't know if y'all can see it here, but this is a cool down zone. So if you're too hot, you could actually just stand under this and feel a little better, A little misting action. I was wondering what was going on because it's all wet here. I'm like, oh my God, am I getting into a situation I shouldn't be getting into? It's just the mister going. So, anyway, I am good at it. There's no question. And for several years, I tell this to people all the time, like my blog wasn't big to other hipsters and those who are interested in reading music reviews about bands they've never heard of before. Like, it wasn't interesting to the people who would typically like read Pitchfork and Stereo Gum, or the 405 or AOL Music or whatever, right? All the different Billboard, all the different syndicates out there. The people who read those, that's one particular clientele. But the people who would read our blog, which I didn't know until like a couple of years doing it, was people in record labels and management companies. We were ultimately like a scouting service that we didn't know we were. So we talked about all these up and coming artists, and it started to get a little surprising when like these bands who we would cover, bands we would get eyes on and review their albums, like put out a review, and a week or so later we put out an update saying they got signed somewhere. And for so long we were like, God, that's so random, but like that's so cool that like we're ahead of everyone, like identifying all these bands that are getting signed. Turns out, now that I know, our site was being used as a place that aggregates all of this work. So A&R managers, people who go out and recruit and sign acts, they were just using our site as some sort of a shortcut for some of these acts. So that was kind of cool to realize that that's what the utility of the blog was, that we were kind of putting bands on the spot, even though that wasn't really the intention. So that was awesome. But would I ever go back to it? I don't think so. It's an awesome passion project, but if at this point in my life, if I was going to put that much energy into music, I'd just put more energy into writing my own music, which is far more enjoyable for me than listening to other people's music and reviewing it in my own honest opinion, which is enjoyable, but not as enjoyable as writing my own music. So no, I don't think I would, but I do think about it. And sometimes on stream, I do it. Okay. Running out of time because I got to get back in like 10 minutes. So I think one more question. I did have 2 more written down, but I think we'll just do 1 more. Sorry, there's a concourse cleaner as well, so it's a little loud. So let's walk around the concourse cleaner and then I'll answer the question. Sorry, chat. Actually, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments section. Let me know in Discord. Oh, fins up! Margaritaville. Let me know if the concourse cleaner, let me know if that's too loud in the mic, because I actually don't know. I watch like the first handful of seconds to make sure that the audio quality isn't too bad, and then I just upload it immediately. So I actually haven't been privy to what the concourse cleaner sound is like. By the way, if you're wondering what the giveaways look like, it looks like this. They sit in boxes. They usually sit on pallets, but now they're being moved onto the tables. And as people come in, they can show their ticket or tickets and get and redeem their giveaways. So I believe today is like a shirt, the Hawaiian shirt. Okay, question. I'm gonna go with the spicier of the 2. I'll leave the other one for tomorrow, but someone asked, people say that the pay in working in sports is really bad. How bad is it? So I'll answer this in 2 ways, because I think the people who perpetuate the idea that the pay is bad, I'm always for to pay people what the skills are worth, right? Like, if we could all be making $1 million a year, I'd love that. If we could all do what we want to do and be incentivized beyond just money, I would love that. but in the current scheme of our capitalistic society and societal norms and doctrine, pay obviously is an extremely important thing. And if you are a quantitative analyst of some sort, and you could be working at a bank making $100,000 a year starting right out of college, but a sports team is offering you $70,000 a year, it seems like a fairly egregious gap in wage. You're doing the same work, and a bank, while probably in terms of company revenue and company profit might be on a better standing than a sports team, the sports team is still an extremely lucrative company. If you put most sports teams on the scale of like what would get you into the Forbes 500, most sports teams would be sitting in that, like, not top 100, but maybe somewhere in the 400 range. And many of them like right outside the top 500 in terms of profitability and revenue. So it's clear that they have money, right? So what's unclear is like, well, if the value of these organizations are valued similarly to these other publicly traded, publicly owned companies, and yet those companies that are not in sports, they are paying $150,000 for a data scientist starting. Benefits package, bonus package gets you up to $250,000. And in sports, it's like you're going to work 3 times as much and make maybe $70,000. That sounds kind of bad. That sounds bad. Just job for job. One is doing more work. Shouldn't they get paid more? Okay, that's fair. I agree. However, while there are many people who are trying to change this, and I believe Teamworks just put out a call for a data scientist at a mid-level, and it's starting around $150,000, which is a lot more realistic to the current standards of a mid-level data scientist, mid-career data scientist. There are teams out there that are paying something like this. Football, there's a lot of teams that are paying closer to your like 90,000 to 110,000 range for entry level analytics. And that's mainly because they're seeing how it is in other sports, and they're realizing, yeah, we shouldn't exploit people who want to work in this industry just because we can. So since they are relatively new to the analytics space in sports, they can also rectify the wrongs of other sports. I'd say baseball, there is probably the largest gap between entry level and mid-career and senior level. At your senior levels, you're getting paid still a little less than what you would get as a senior level person in a tech company, but somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 depending on your city. It's definitely less, but it's not the worst. At your mid-career level, you're probably getting what people in their entry level are getting in tech industries. Somewhere between call it 90 and 120,000, somewhere in that range. Again, not the best, but not the worst. Like mid-career in sports, if you're there for 2 to 5 years, you're probably in that mid-career range, something like that. And then that entry level, that 0 to 2 year full-time, yeah, you're looking at under 90 at most places. Some places better than others. Some places, in terms of quality of life, they're starting you well above $100,000 for entry level. Some places, they're not there yet. So the pay in sports it's not great, but I will say at the senior level and above, it actually is not too different than the senior level and above in other industries. Just the bonus packages in other industries are way crazier. Some places making almost half of your salary comes, half of your total salary comes in the form of the bonus, right? So you do have a lot of variance, but in terms of base package, I'd say at the senior level and up, it's actually not too different than tech, or not too different than any industry, I would say, for technical roles. So The issue is survivorship bias, right? There's a lot less of those roles, whereas there's a lot more roles at the senior level in volume in other industries. So you do have to it kind of sucks to stay in this industry in your entry level, but it's typically the only way to get to the senior level. So it's not the best, but that's what we're working with right now. All right, chat, I gotta go. Trade deadline is upon us, and I lost track of time. I will catch you all next time.